actually that could be even more. More than 80 Ugandans are living in very squalid conditions, unable to find work, unable to come back home. They've tried the embassy. The embassy, in some instances, is not well equipped, according to them. That's their word, well equipped to be able to deal with their situation. As if not enough, many of these who have found themselves on the streets in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, specifically Dubai, is that they went through unknown, and because of that, it becomes very difficult for the government to be able to intervene and even deal with their situation. However, they are Ugandans, and therefore they are part of our problem. If they found themselves in a situation where they are unable to find work, where they are unable to even come back home, something that can be done probably by we who are back here or elsewhere. Is there a way of pressurizing the government or even the companies that are exporting people abroad to be able probably to intervene? It's tonight's conversation, which is going to be a very interesting conversation because we've got evidence on the ground looking at the difficult conditions that these people are living through. And Bakia, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a global community conversation, and therefore it doesn't matter. You're Muslim, you're Christian, you're atheist, you're Jewish. Here we come in to talk, to have a conversation about issues that matter to us. And tonight we'll be talking about the conundrum surrounding export of labor to especially the Middle East, but also now specifically on the situation of people who are stuck out there, unable to get a job, but unable to come back home as well. What can we do? Are you that sort of person that has lived through that particular experience, and you'd like to tell us what your situation has been like? You've been thinking about how possibly to be able to, it looks like we've been joined tonight by people, and that is from their major organization. I don't know how actually to pronounce the abbreviation of it. It's something like UERA, but it is the organization of labor exporting companies that are sending people abroad. I've seen the Secretary General, I think, Mr. Ibrahim Bogire, and earlier on I saw Madame Init, who joined the conversation. I hope we'll be able to have and discuss this particular topic in depth, just try to look at where the problem is, what can we do. This is very serious because many of us, one way or another, has, any one of us has at least a relative who is either already working there or is trying to work there. The message, earth-shattering. But before I do that, I'll tell you that the latest story now that is making the headlines is that Qatar, which is one of those Gulf countries, has shut down 12 Kenyan employment agencies following pressure from the government and trade unions to ensure better treatment of migrant workers in the Gulf states. This revelation, of course, came during talks held on Sunday between the Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli, and Qatar's Labor Minister Ali bin Samih Al Marri in Doha. The recruitment offices that have been closed are Starch, Anand, Sunrise, Dubai, Frame, Al Adam, Abshir, Al Mithaq, Risal, Al Atun, and Al Thabat. These agencies with employers. Now, this is just on the Kenyan side of things, probably dependent on the kind of conversations that are taking place between the two governments. The way the program works, for those who have just joined us tonight, this is an interactive program. So you do not have an expert who is coming in to tell us what to do. Everyone has the same right to be able to have a voice and be heard. And therefore, in case you are the Shylock who doesn't like talking too much, you can just go into the chat room, type in your question or an idea, and we will pick it. We'll pick it up and then have a conversation around it. Alternatively, you can just raise your hand the Zoom way. Just click on, raise your hand the Zoom way, and I'll be able to see you and we can pick up on you and have a conversation about that. So tonight we are talking about, Ugandans, more than 80 Ugandans who are, stuck in a difficult situation between a hammer and a nail. And in that situation, they are living in very squalid situations. Many of them left with expectations of getting jobs abroad, something that hasn't happened. And then they are stuck. They cannot come back home because either they have overstayed their visas and don't know where to start from, or they do not even have the tickets to be able to do that. I'm happy to announce to everyone who has just joined us tonight that we've got members from the organization that represents Uganda, and we'll be able to be hearing from them just in terms of their own take on the general problem. But importantly, we will be hearing from the people stuck in Dubai in those squalid conditions, many living around Union Square, some of them at Baneas Gardens, and these are places for those who are already there, you would know, and then other different places within the UAE where sometimes the girls, the women are forced to go into prostitution as a way of survival. The men turn probably to even worse. What can be done? It will be very interesting just to hear these people's stories. Isma, if we have one of our videos ready, we can just have that flowing. That can help us to get into the conversation tonight. Please, if you can play the video, that will help us just to show the sort of situation. Don't mind because there's no much audio in it. You can play while I talk in the background just to allow our people to see, and then they can make up their minds. It's really the squalid conditions, the crammed up conditions that many of these people are living through. And maybe as a Ugandan, as an official in government, this is probably time to pressure the government. If we could try and provide help to people who are in government offices, what happens to these Ugandans? At a time, actually, when we have a national airline, we need help probably just to do that charter flight, get them back home, and then start dealing with them. Maybe it's not something that is going to happen very soon. Isma, the clip, please. Shafiq, Isma, looks like the video is not playing. Is there any problem?
Playing.
I can hear some sound, but I can't hear anything of that.
We are not going to put on TikTok, yeah?
We are not about.
Okay, Isma, as you get the video ready, that doesn't get us or stop us from continuing the conversation. If it plays, then it will just play. I'll just stop talking when it starts. It is playing. Oh, right. Oh, that's quite weird. My side of things, I can hardly see anything.
Video again playing.
That is a bit weird. I can see a message in the chat room to say the clip is playing, but I can hardly see anything. It's just stopped at a blue shot, and that's it. Is it playing?
We are not going to put on TikTok, yeah?
Go ahead.
Just okay. Njagala sindikira gundi eno mukamange ndabe kyayinza okukola. No, let
if it's the Ugandan internet, then probably I'll be able to know when it stops playing because I can hardly see it playing.
Passport you Gina. I do visa. Wayoga mekale wa. Simbaji. Tena line zonna ziriko data. Nyo nazirekedde abaana ku airport bagenze nazo. Jukya kubeerako data always. Chechu. Senyi.
Visa yakyaliko. Yaggwako ali myezi 6
Just like owulira signs like senyi was fine to check the signs kina. What are you feeling? Kaina mali. Okay, katumalize wano kwenye email tugenda itia wano. Inwayo.
Alhamdulillah.
mukama
Otyo okukwata mu video. Lwaki otyo okukwata mu video?
Tukusaba mukama mu kaseera tukusaba kyonna kabaka mukama gwe yatambula ng'awonya abalwadde era ng'akolera kulu byonna mwanyinaffe namuza ssebo gwe mubezi ddala twabulawo ku kaseera konna It's the time she needs your prayers. She needs your comfort and your response from us. Don't just abide with us. Abide with your Holy Spirit. Tuwamanyi n'obuvumu mukama namuza ssebo n'osobola omuyimbusa alime kubeera ngate n'ekyokulya tekiriwo mukama wakiri ekyokulya n'ekyokwebaka tumanyi ng'osobola okuwatali kubo n'ekikulu obulamu ate obulamu butali bulwadde ate nga mukama newabeerawo enaku bbiri wagamba nti omuntu yenna tabeerawo lwa mmere kyokka nasobola okweyalira ekiramu era omuyinza gwetubona mulamuwe olunaku olwaleero ekiro kino ogenda okukya atali kyekiro
Amina.
And the video has ended, Shekeke.
Yes, I can see, and I'm sure this is just one of several videos that we will be playing. Isma, if you can have another video, please, ready, because I just wanted to sort of start moving. But you can see the kind of squalid conditions that these people are living in. They are sleeping rough, in other words. These are someone's sister. These are someone's brother, stuck in very difficult situations. I can see the chat room already beginning to heat up with the comments. Ismas, you find us the next video, but I can just get the conversation starting to open up now. Yeah, I think we'll just watch this one and then we can start having the conversation.
Okay.
Je baleko baswiti. Mutubuli omuntu yenna ataliwo bamulekerewo.
Nobody?
He's praying for you. Thank you for praying for them.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Brother, have this food.
It's too much sleeping. Leave him maybe.
Video me? Video me.
I video you? Okay, say something.
I sleep here.
You sleep here?
Another job.
You have no job?
No job.
Why? What
My visa
happened?
is finished.
What?
My visa is finished.
You're in overstay?
I overstay now. No work.
How long?
2 months.
2 months? How many people sleeps here?
Plenty.
Too many?
Many.
Ah,
Many people.
okay.
Eva, ogamba ki? Wabulidde wa? Kasemba kulaba luli oli bulungi. Kiki? Ng'obuze. Embeera. Walidde kamere leero. Siina gye naagijje nange ndi mwavu. Kati odda wa? Oze kufuna ku free wifi. Morning. Oi.
I think Isma, we can even stop the video there. I think the picture is painted now for anyone who would
Nene
wish
simu ya
to
Shakira teyina
sort
byekwata
of try
nene
to get a
fugige.
general picture. You can see the guys hanging around.
Ani akwata ku iPhone bannange.
And the place they are hanging around is the place where they get free Wi-Fi. So they manage to get free Wi-Fi and therefore be able to, charge up their phones and get to communicate back home as to what we are seeing at this particular moment in time. This is the story that we are discussing tonight, the dilemma, the sort of the road of no return, where many have sort of ended up going into the Arab world with expectations, with hopes of being able to get jobs. We'll be hearing from one of them very shortly. And then we are honored tonight to have some members from the labor exporting companies, and they will be able probably to tell us, probably if they have anything to do with this particular situation. If not, if they might be able to help in one way or another. I've seen Mr. Ibrahim Bogere. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And Miss Enid as well. I think I saw you there. We'll be coming to you later on to pick your brains on what is going on. But I'll open Wamala Brian, and for his own protection, then we'll just call him B, Mr. B. Wamala, are you there? Hello, Wamala. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Brian. Good evening. How are you today?
I'm fair. I'm just thanking God for life and seeing what will come tomorrow.
It's been a very long day, and I should say thank you very much for all your help. You helped us get access to some of this footage that many people don't often get a chance to see. You just hear the situation, but you don't get a chance to sort of see what exactly goes on. Let's start with your own story. I mean, you're part of the number that is now, living in these difficult conditions, sleeping rough, if I may use the word. What was your story? How did you end up in the UAE where you are?
Personally, okay, thank you, Mr. Kayira. Personally, I came to the UAE in 2021 on May the 19th. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you well. Yes, loud
the
and
19th
clear.
of May. The 19th of May. Then my first contract I got with a cleaning company. It's called Emrail. It's a cleaning services company. It's located in Rashidia. So what basically happened, I get this contract, I sign it, I accept the terms and conditions, and we quick start with work. Mm-hmm. Along the way, they started bleaching the contract. I was supposed to be working 8 hours, but unfortunately, I used to work almost 13 or 14 hours a day. And this is the kind of cleaning company that I used to work at, a place called Park Square 1. It is in Dubai Hills. I think those who have moved around Dubai Hills know it. It's Park Square 1. It's a storage building.
Why was that, Brian? We just want people back home to be able to understand fully. Why were you ending up working those longer hours? You didn't have anyone to replace
No,
what exactly happened?
These are the people who tell you you're supposed to start work at 9 and you're supposed to end work at 5. But they pick you from the accommodation. You start work at 6 and you end work at almost 7 in the night. That's when they pick you up. Between those long hours, you have only 15 minutes break and you have 45 minutes lunch break. No resting, no sitting down. Yes, Mr. Kayira.
Right. So you found that they were beginning to breach the contract, and so you decided to quit the job, or what then followed?
No, besides not quitting the job, you cannot get an 18-story building and you give it to one man, then you get 5 other Punjabis, you put them into the next building, doing the same work all the way from the 18th floor down into the garbage room, through the cute garbages, doing it one person, and you think it's fair. It's not fair at all. So when I got an issue with my back, I I contacted the camp boss and I told them, you know what, I've gotten an issue with my back problem. They told me, unfortunately, these people like to us that we have insurance. But when you go to the hospital, I had the receipts. I think I will provide the evidence as time goes on. You go to the hospital, you're paying 75% of the bill, yet they are telling you when you're signing the contract that you have insurance, which is not there. That most Ugandans can testify on that. Then the other thing is, I got a problem with the chemicals. You know, the rough chemicals that we use in housekeeping. There is a chemical called QR5. It's a tire polishing chemical that we use. The moment you open that chemical, you get allergies, just the mere smell. Despite the fact that you're wearing proper PPE, still it manages to penetrate through and your body is messed. You start developing swellings, allergies. So back to the point when
and Brian, for those joining the conversation who do not know what PPE is, that's personal protective equipment.
Yeah.
So despite having that, you can still pick
the chemicals that we use in housekeeping are extremely strong.
Using that chemical. So the
network is breaking. Hello?
Yeah, and I was asking, did you leave the job then? How did you lose your work?
I didn't
How
leave the job.
How did you lose your work?
I fell sick. I fell sick 3 days. I remember that time the manager there was called Manoj. He told me, no, we can only give you 1 day. I told him, but my brother, I can't stand. My back is messed. My neck is messed. I can't even leave the bed. My roommate saw that I was bedridden for almost 7 days. The time I go back to work to report that, you know what, I have been sick and this is my medical report. The manager asked me, where are the documents from the hospital? I provided the documents. That was on the 20th of September last year. He said, no, you're supposed to provide 7 documents. Each day you're supposed to be going to the hospital and you're supposed to provide 7 medical documents. I told him, no, they only gave me 3. He said, no, we cannot work like that. Then I told him, you know what, send me to the office. I see the HR, then we'll see how we can work again. The guy was like, you know what, Africa, blacks, I'm tired of you guys. You're complaining. You're too much complaining. If you don't want to work, Kalas, here is the termination letter. Go sort yourself out. I was like, okay then, give me the termination letter if that's what you want. He terminated me. They gave me 1 month to change the visa. I didn't have the cash on me right now. I called home. No one had money. Then, unfortunately, the time elapsed. I went and asked for an extra uplift of another 14 days. Mr. Sid at office told me, no, we cannot give you more days. I fell into overstay, and that's how the total mess began up to now.
So you ended up becoming an overstayer, and that's the problem at the moment. So
yes,
your issue is you want to come back to Uganda, but you do not have the means to come back to Uganda.
Yes, I need to leave. And on top of being the overstay, Mr. Kayira, there's a certain document that I picked up, and there's a certain conversation that I managed to pick up yesterday still at the office when the HR himself was saying that he doesn't need Ugandans anymore. I have the video evidence with me. It was like he's tired of Africans. He has cheap labor that he gets. And the absconding, he managed to even abscond my passport. I have the clear evidence with me right here. You can see it. Can you see it very well?
Your video is not on. Your video is not on. So yeah, let me prompt you to start your video. I'll just prompt you to start your video. You can just click on the button and you'll be able to share the video of the passport.
Okay, I was showing you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I managed to pick up a document still from the office, asking them where is my passport. Unfortunately, they didn't know that I had 2 passports, one the old one and the new one. So I managed to squeeze them, push them to the limit, and this is what they gave me. I'm asking them, where is my new passport? You can imagine. They gave me an absconding letter running away from work. So I told him, you know what?
Would that put you in trouble with, say, the police, if they found you?
Yes.
Because abscondment would be against your contract, against your being in the country.
First of all, they lied to me that my passport was at the immigration center. I went to the immigration center in Awil. The Awil people told me, the policemen, the soldiers there told me, no, in immigration, we don't hold anyone's passport. There is no way the immigration is responsible for your passport. It's your personal property. They send me back to the office. I go to the office, I tell this guy, even the last 2 months I worked, you didn't pay me, and you don't know where my passport is.
Now, Brian, I've given you a lot more time than I would ordinarily sort of allocate, because given that this is a global conversation, we are getting people coming in to probably feed into the story. But you are the reason as to why I'm doing this story tonight. We are talking about this issue tonight because you reached out to me seeking help to be able to get a ticket to come back home. Maybe now you can tell to the people, to the audience that is watching now, why they should be able to fund you, and maybe any others who want to return home. Why?
No, at the moment, actually, before I even go there, I regret why I came here in the first place. I regret so much. I told you this earlier on. I regret so much. And I feel there are better opportunities we have back at home. We have fertile land. The climate is good. I can go back, settle down on my land and do farming. So I feel it's the right time for me to exit and go back home and settle down on agriculture. So I just need an air ticket to get out of this place and get a pass out from the immigration so that I can leave and step back to Uganda, Mr. Kayira. The living conditions.
Very much, Brian. Audience, you have just heard Brian Wamala's plea. He wants to come back home, having gone out there, try their luck. He's gone there, he's seen it, and I think he thinks he might be much better off coming back home and being able to push his chances back home. Brian, you stay there. I'll be able to come back to you at any point in the conversation, just because the way that this conversation works, we sort of open it up, and we'll need maybe to hear from some more people. If there are any others who have joined the conversation tonight who might be able to help us to navigate through this particular difficult story that is sad for many. Many of these people have ended up in the Arab world or even elsewhere are people who are graduates, people who are bright. You can look at Brian and hear him, the way he speaks with passion, and some of these people have been taken by companies that are registered, but we have a situation of companies that are unregistered. And that message, a very powerful message that someone sent me, who said, I wish I could attend tonight's conversation on behalf of those in Saudi Arabia, but I think you got going back home wrong. People sold their stuff, they got loans. And when they think of home and work, it's the fellow Ugandans who take them also for a living. You took loans, you sold your family land, your hereditary land, in the hope and expectation that once you get there, you'll be able to make it. You get there and it's not happening. This might be actually one of the dilemmas of what we have to deal with. So why don't we just talk to someone from the exporting countries, maybe exporting companies, to probably paint a picture, because quite often sometimes we just get it wrong and we end up failing to apportion reality where it's supposed to be. Enid, good evening. Welcome to the conversation. And thanks for accepting our invitation. Hello, Enid. You can just unmute yourself, please. Hi, Enid. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm very well, thank you.
Yes. Well, we've just had the Brian's story. First of all,
yes, I have had Brian's story.
I'll take your reaction.
Yes, the first thing is that I didn't hear the company in Uganda that took him to UAE. That bit is unclear. I heard about the company in UAE, but which company in Uganda took him to UAE or facilitated him to go to UAE?
Brian, you are there. Brian, you are there. The way the conversation works is you are there, and then you can talk to Enid now, because that is opening up opportunities now for us to clear the air. If you can see Brian, please help me unmute him for those who are also co-hosts.
Oh,
hi, Brian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear. Unfortunately, there is no company. I came on a personal basis looking for greener pastures. So I had to find my own air ticket. I had to find my own visa. and the entire process. When I got here as a Ugandan who is looking for greener pastures, I had to get my way out and look for better opportunities. Unfortunately, I was landing into a mess that I didn't know would result into this. If I knew, I wouldn't have bothered.
Okay, Brian, thank you very much. That I think clears it for Enid. You managed to find a company once you're out there. Things didn't work out well. Back to you, Enid. Now, this is one of those cases where people have been either, told by agents or clever people to sort of cross, and then things would happen once they are there. But your take then on that is, Enid?
Thank you very much. Brian's situation is unfortunate. And for me, it means that the trouble we are going to educate the public how to legally leave Uganda and how to legally find work in those Arab countries is not moving wide enough. The situation is that you need to go with a company from Uganda to have protection. When we're talking about protection of the rights of migrant workers, you need the backing of a company from home, because that company will be held liable by the government of Uganda to ensure that your rights are respected in the country that you go to, which you call the destination country. So right now, Brian is kind of like in a no man's land. And that is why when you have a government that does not have money set aside to return distressed Ugandans, that's the situation that you get into. So one of the things I could actually suggest that we shall look for Ministry of Internal Affairs in Uganda. They have an anti-trafficking unit, because although...
Go ahead, Enid.
Pardon?
When you have a government that does not have...
No, I said that...
Enid, I think you're breaking up. It was my line that is unstable. But you lost me when you're saying that it's difficult when you have a government that doesn't have...
It's your line, Mr. Kayira.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, she's okay.
All right. I must have missed that bit then.
Go on, Enid. Our government does not have, at least in my knowledge, government does not have a fund to repatriate Ugandans back home. And most times, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Internal Affairs look for NGOs and CSOs that have money set aside to help Ugandans who are stranded abroad to return home. And like I said, if Brian has not been at the embassy, because the embassy is in, is not in Dubai, isn't it? The embassy is in, I think we have a consular in Dubai. And I would suggest that Brian speaks to the consular and puts his case right there so that his information is known. If his passport was confiscated, that is unfortunate, because that is a government of Uganda property, and the consular should be able to find a way of getting that passport back. However, there are also documents that are used to return Ugandans home where their passport is rendered stolen. Like in this case, it's a stolen document, and he needs to report it as such to the police. But now he has the issue of overstay. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to go to the police in Dubai. But the consular should be able to get him papers to return. Mr. Ibrahim Bogere, who is online, has an office in Dubai. So I would suggest that at this point, probably he takes over, because he knows how Dubai works as a place. Thank you very much. And I can come
fantastic, Enid. Thank you very, very much. And I won't let you go off just easily like that. There are questions that we'll need to answer now that you're here. A few questions just regarding those who are now going through the right channels. Ibrahim Bogere, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the conversation tonight. Mr. Ibrahim, are you there? I think I saw you. If you see him before I do, please unmute him. Mr. Ibrahim Bogere. There's Galaxy S8. I can see your hand is up, but your mic, oh, right. Yeah, your mic is finally on. Galaxy 8, while I wait for Mr. Ibrahim to see Mr. Ibrahim Bogere. Galaxy S8, go ahead, please. What is burning you?
Hello.
Hello, Galaxy S8.
Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening. Your name, please.
Good evening. Good evening. Mine was to say hello. I'm just getting tuned in. Hello. Am I getting through?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Go ahead. Yes, I can. Someone just unmuted you. Galaxy S8, if you can hear me, please just
He
go ahead
was
and
saying
unmute
he was
yourself.
letting you know that he's tuned in, so I muted him so that we carry on with the conversation. He was saying hello. Sheikh Kayla, I think you're also having trouble with the
Galaxy
network.
S8, are you there?
Sheikh Kayla, your network is very bad. Galax said he wanted to say hello and he's now been muted. We've lost him. You are muted, Sheikh Kayla. You are talking, but you're muted.
Apologies, it was my computer here. It's the internet that is playing up, and I was saying that I'm on two gadgets. So when one drops, the other picks up. I was trying to get, I don't know if you are able to hear Galaxy S8.
We finished with Galax. Galax wanted to say hello. He wanted to let you know that he's tuned in.
Are they back on? If they are not, the one who is, well, in Dubai at the moment. Or is that S8?
Sheikh Kayla, your network is very poor.
I didn't hear well what you're saying.
I'm trying to communicate with you. I said to you that Galax has been on. He said he was just letting you know that he's tuned in.
All right.
And saying hello. So we finished with him.
I'll try now away from the laptop.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just mute one and then I give the other. That should be much. Okay, go ahead, please. The Galaxy S6. Galaxy S6.
If there's anyone in Dubai,
apologies about that. Hey, the internet is playing up seriously. Can you hear me well?
Well, you're on and off, on and off.
On. I'll just try to. Oh, him is on and off.
Yours is on and off.
Listeners. Just to remind you, the program is Come Let's Talk. With me, Kassim, Kayira. This is our global community conversation, and tonight.
You're gone.
We are talking about the conundrum of it's mainly to the Middle East, and the dilemma of more than 80 Ugandans who are on steps, and sometimes just you've seen the pictures, the painful images of being, taken food in situations that are very squalid. Some were actually sleeping in the bushes, if I may be able to use that word, because we could see the flowers, the flower trees, and people were comfortably sleeping, well, comfortably in the circumstances. That is used reservedly. These situations now you find that there are many Ugandans who, after going through a situation, we've just had the story of Brian, took the plane, took the flight here, took a visitor's visa, went to Dubai in the hope of being able to make things happen once he's there. It wasn't as as calm or as welcoming as he wants to come back home. He doesn't have his passport, and that makes it even now much more difficult. And with him being considered an overstay, that actually can have legal implications. So that has actually left them in a difficult situation. And we've had in it before, talking to us regarding the situation, as to how companies take people. the amount of care that they take to look after the duty of care that these companies have over the people that they have taken. A lot has happened over the last few years, where now the conditions of the employees are beginning to improve just a little bit. Enid, I'm coming back to you simply because Galaxy S6 hasn't been, the line was a bit difficult and so was mine. But I'm only coming to you just to talk about the conditions, the kind of facilities that you put in place to ensure the duty of care over the people that you take. We've had cases of people say, I went through ABCD company and then I got there, my contract ran out, or I suffered in the home that I was in. When I came back to the company, they simply wanted to throw me out. How do you deal with this situation? What are you able to deliver now that you were not able to deliver before? Hello, Enid.
Hello, Mr. Kayira.
Yes,
okay,
please.
First of all, I would like to go back a little bit to thank the young people that I saw providing comfort and food and solace. I think that was a very good gesture, and we encourage them to continue. It is very nice to be present for persons who are in that kind of situation. So I applaud them. So coming back to the legal way of migrating for labor, there are 3 or 4 parties involved. In Uganda, there'll be the country that is in charge, and that is the Ministry of Labor, licenses companies. And right now we have 217 companies through which you can travel to the Middle East. But not all of them have contracts for jobs other than those in the house. And for UAE, for example, we are not allowed, our company is not allowed to work in the house. People in UAE, people in Oman, any other country apart from Jordan and Saudi Arabia, our companies are not allowed to bring people to work in the house. So if you end up in a house in a country rather than Saudi or Jordan, you have actually gone there and unclear circumstances. The other thing I wanted to mention is the regulations are very, very strict. Regulation 21 of 47 of 2021 is very strict on the company. They are supposed to take care of you until you return. And government did this because it is us that they can find. However, our companies are agents, have what we call agency, have a power of attorney to get you a job on behalf of the company in the destination country. So once you arrive in the destination country, you are supposed to abide by the labor laws of that country. You're supposed to abide by the internal rules of that country. You're supposed to have a residence permit. You're supposed to have an ikama, and so on and so forth. So in the event that anything happens to your placement, if I may call it that, there are 2 companies that are involved, the company in Uganda and the company in the destination country. Where there's a disagreement between the 2, unfortunately, the 2 governments can actually be evoked. The company in Uganda will lose its license, or the license will be temporarily revoked until your issue has been sorted out. One thing I have noticed is many people think the company is overcharged, that they ask for too much money because there will be an extra maybe $1,000 that is used for purposes of the HR. The connectivity between these 2 countries is paid for by the person who is traveling. So in the event that someone feels that is too much money, it is the money that actually assists these 2 companies to remain responsible for your presence. When Brian said he was meant to clean a building on his own, and yet another building had 5 persons, it is exploitation. And someone who knows that they are dealing with you directly and you have no backup of a company that took you will definitely exploit you. And that is servitude and slave-like practices, because they know you're there on your own. You are entitled to a day off, you are entitled to sick leave. All your entitlements will not be available to you when you get a job on your own. And this happens all over the world. I believe even in the UK, you can easily get a job, but you will not be paid the minimum wage if someone knows that you just walked in, as compared to someone probably who was placed by an employment agency. So going back to the issue at hand, you talked about 80 Ugandans. I pray and hope.
Yeah, more than 80 at the moment. Yeah.
Yes, so if you could kindly process them that way, because it helps when we don't put them all in one homogeneous group and say 80 Ugandans. It would be nice to know of those 80 Ugandans, how many were taken by a company in Uganda that has abandoned them? Because that's me where I would like to start. If anyone was taken by a company, a Ugandan company that abandoned them, that one I can handle. If they were taken by a trafficker who is known, if you're not feeling shy about declaring who this trafficker is, that is something we can also work with the Ministry of Interior about. What I know is that Ugandans are shy. They will tell you they will not want to expose that trafficker, but they know how to put there. And yet now they are in this precarious situation. So what I would like to ask you, Mr. Kayira, is process these people. There is, in Uganda, there's a Human Trafficking Institute that has a directory of many service providers for victims of trafficking in persons. And unfortunately, I don't have that document with me, but I know they have in their persons or companies that try to help to repatriate. And that is what I would pledge to do, is that to look for them, as long as I can get the details of each of those 80 persons to see how they can be promised at they have to be processed as an individual, not as 80 people. It has to be individual.
Enid, I understand you, and I do appreciate very much, very, very much the effort that actually, I think you're giving us a bit of a leeway to a situation that seemed a bit impossible. And Brian, I think you're listening into this. Part of the homework now off the back of tonight's conversation is, Enid says they might be able to deal with the individual cases. However, Enid, and this is the question I'm putting to you now as people who are in this line of business, in consideration that, you said the Ugandan government does not have a budget and normally runs to NGOs and community-based organizations to help. These are 80 Ugandans, for that matter, regardless of what their circumstances are. We've had cases, with developed countries where, for example, a citizen of their country has been involved, say, in drug trafficking, heinous crimes that you'd have thought, but they still are their citizens, and they'll do everything possible to get them back home. Here is a scenario where you have up to 80 people stuck, unable and unsure, tired probably of what needs to happen, and they just want to come back home. Many actually, I think, would resort to just hiding and looking for a way of eking a living somehow. But these are people that are just saying to dig. Now that I know what I know now, I'm wiser than I was. Wouldn't it be really the responsibility of the government now to say, bring back these people?
Mr. Kayira.
Hello. Yes, please. Can you hear me? Did you hear me well?
Individuals as adults, we must also take responsibility for our actions. If you have illegally, if you have entered a country on a tourist visa and you overstay, you have to bear the brunt of that. We cannot pretend that these people, and that's why I said we need to process this person. And that's why I said, if there's anyone that was taken by a company that is registered, I will ensure that that person is brought back by that company. As long as you did not run away, you did not abscond from duty, that this company maybe has been negligent, that one I can handle. Number two, if you went there and overstayed, surely you are not the same as a drug trafficker, because a drug trafficker has you are actually all breaking the law, all of you. But Ministry of Foreign Affairs does intervene. And that's why I was saying these 80 people need to be processed. They need to report themselves to the consular. Okay, and I can see someone saying Ugandan companies are fake, they don't follow up. That is okay, you are entitled.
I was just about to read you that. I was just about to read you that to say
they are entitled to their opinion, and this is a very good feedback. And that's why I asked if Brian had been taken by a company, I can assure you that company got him back. I would have made sure that it does. So when someone gives a blanket statement that they are fake, I am afraid I can't even respond. But me, I have pledged. If there's anyone, those 80 plus that was taken by a company that is registered in Uganda, they will come back, that company will bring them back. Okay? That one I have pledged. Then for those who went on a tourist visa like Brian did, we cannot prevail on government to bring you back. Our government does not have that kind of money. We have now to work with persons who have made it their cause, persons that have ended up being lied to, being on a journey of experience and experimentation, that they need to come back. They've seen the photo. There are ways like Brian said that he didn't realize that he needs assistance to come back. Okay, so Mr. Kayira, me what I am saying, let's process those people individually. Okay, individually. And I have had
and a question for you there, Enid, before you go. What happens to Brian, having had what you've had and knowing what you know about his case?
Through you, Mr. Kayira, let us see what we can do for Brian. I cannot say I will promise, but I said I have a directory of more than 100 providers who I'm going to talk to find out who can help Brian. That is what I can promise. Is that
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Enid. Much, much appreciated, Enid. Let's hear from Galaxy S8. Enid, stay there. I think we'll come to you at some point. I'm sure now the conversation is opening up. Mr. Kennedy Murashe, good evening, and how are you today?
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Good to have you on all the way from the United States of America.
It's a very good discussion you brought, and my concern, perhaps, would be we have witnessed on the waters people dying, and more than any other time before, we see these things in plain sight, in a timely manner. We see people drowning, but in spite of that reality, people keep coming. Now, if you go back to what is going on in Uganda, I think now we are squarely concerned with the pictures we saw of the people who are in need of help. But I think we have to do a holistic approach if we must save our people. One, awareness, local awareness. Because if we don't start from the base, from ground zero, we shall keep seeing these images popping up again and again. Because you see, once upon a time, there was a madman running away. And when he was asked what's wrong, it's like, these people are trying to take me home. Now, he was running away from his home. But the point is, we have people in Uganda who are ready to go at any cost. And quite often, these smugglers, I saw the previous speaker, Madam, I'm sorry I missed your name.
Enid.
But
Enid.
Yes. She was very polite. She was very polite in referencing Ugandans as being shy. But I think we must draw a distinction between being shy and being stupid. If someone was trafficking me and I survived, mentioning their name shouldn't be a question of concern. I would put out their name because I would have survived the teeth of the jaws of the crocodile. But that said, I think we need to go back and appreciate that until our people get to understand the breadth of this problem. Quite often we zero on the government, government, and we see these things because again, it is benched on ignorance. You have these people, government teyamba, but how did you get there to begin with? Did you talk to the government? You know, because for example, a good traveler across the world knows that when you travel, you should be known by your embassy once you land. Okay. Now, if you land on your own and you feel like you have nothing to do with the government, you have landed, and suddenly something happens to you, and then that is the time you want that the government ought to have known. You know, I don't think we have that capacity to know that someone landed somewhere in Dubai at a certain time, and no, we always get these things at the end point. You see, but
when trouble has
when trouble falls, yes, and now because of the images, because of the cameras, these cameras bring out people screaming hell, and true, there is a whole lot of these smugglers. I mean, no, not smugglers. These the people who smuggle people. What do they call them? They target universities. They target these places, rural areas where people are ignorant.
The traffickers. The
traffickers, exactly. Now you find that you are talking to an educated person, Makerere University, and believe it or not, someone is going to tell you that, you know what, banfunidde omulimo naye ono tayagala mbyogere, era ngenda kummeetinga wali ate ayagala ngende nzekka. You see, now those are red flags right there. You see, the codes are there, but we don't have local people enlightening our ignorant people to tell them that, look, we have arrived at a stage in Uganda where traffickers who were never known before are arriving in throngs. Okay, so until we enlighten our young people, I know it is a hard sell because some of them are like, you know what, hey, I gotta go, because these things are like marriages. Someone is going to be walking out of a marriage and will tell you, you know what, ofumbo, my goodness. But at the same time, someone is going to be entering a church and wedding. So someone is going to say, you know what, I went through this and I made a living. So it is a hard sell, to advise these people to do it.
Yeah, but questions. Question number one. Question number one.
Yes.
Yeah, Kennedy, I've got two questions for you on these circumstances. What can government do? Because now we already have a situation. You've said many of these cases, we only hear them once trouble has happened. Now we are in a situation where we are having to deal with the 80 Ugandans stuck, living in these impossible situations with the possibility of exploitation. Yes, they messed up. Yes, they got it wrong. But there was some kind of pressure that pushed them to go. Now that they're there, one, what can government do? Two, if you are the people who go outside and you live your lives, the next thing I'll be seeing you, Kennedy, wearing a very posh suit. These are pressures that come to the village. You went to school with me, and then all of a sudden you are in those outside countries sending cars. And here is this family that actually, we come from the same village, me and you, Kennedy, and we go back to our village, and what you're showing and what I'm showing are totally two different things. There is pressure on the community.
Kayira, we have lost you.
On the parents to see one's child go. The difference that has been made in the families is visible. How would you stop sure that we go? So question number one, what
Kayira, we can't hear you.
The internet is betraying,
I think we lost him for a bit. He seems to have gone off. We have to give him time to come back.
While he's coming back, I think
it's a message from Farida Ntegi who says your connection is really, really poor.
Well,
yes,
you had gone off, Sheikh Kayira. We had lost
so
you.
Kennedy, I don't know if you had my questions. I was just coming back to you, putting it to you to say, we've seen what has happened, and we are asking the question, what can government do in the current circumstances? And two, what can people, how do you stop people from trying to go abroad and invest in culture? Hello, Kennedy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I think let's be realistic with human mobility. You know? For as long as humans live, there will always be mobility. People will always desire to move from one place to another. And we have local, someone who was born in Kabare, now he's in Kampala, and you cannot stop that movement. Someone who was born in Kisoro, he's now in Fort Potro. So that is there. Now, some of this is organized, some is not, because it's a matter of someone referencing and telling you that, look, there is an opportunity across the bridge. And at that point, it is a personal choice because there is no law that prohibits people from moving. So that's why they offer passports. It's your choice to go wherever you choose. Now, while it is a choice, and we are not restricted by governments, you don't have to go and tell people that, look, I am asking for permission to go somewhere. Now, once that is there, you cannot stop people from moving. As a matter of fact, people talk about poverty. You will be amazed that some people move for different reasons. In the case of Ugandans, yes, the claim is poverty, but poverty is relative. There are some people who will make $10,000 in Uganda, and they will tell them that you can make 20,000 in Kenya, and they will go. So you can see it is very fluid. It's very slippery. You can never stop it. You can raise the income levels of Ugandans, but you can never hit the max. They will always move whenever they feel that something else somewhere makes sense. So that's why I say there is nothing the government can do to stop people from moving.
What can government do now?
For the people who are there right now, for the people who are stranded as we are speaking, they need our immediate attention as the government. Now, it is a long process because, like Inedi said previously, you need to squarely look into. You don't want someone who traveled on their own accord and arrived and perhaps didn't care about the details, and suddenly now the government has to care. No country can afford to do that. But there are those who were taken under very, very tough circumstances. Now they are squeezed. We need to look into that. And I must emphasize this because we tend to look at governments and think that the government is, something out there that can't be explained. A government is run by people. I want us to always go back to that reality. Governments are run by people. Now, you find that, for example, there are people who are terribly anti-government. And quite often, the government will look through the lenses of these people. You don't want to go and spend money on a rebel group that is fighting people. So when you see these people that the government is interested in bringing these people, intelligence gets concerned to know who is being brought in. Okay, what is your profile? And we may not like this, but it happens. For example, in the United States, when you go to look for a job, guess what? They check your credit. Why do they check your credit? This is a personal affair. You would say, I was minding my business. Why do they have to check my credit? It explains how you manage your affairs. if your credit is bad, guess what? The employer will use that to say, if you cannot manage your affairs, how can you manage mine? You see that? So now someone will be profiled and they will see what has Kassim been saying about the government. What is Kassim's stance on the government? And quite often the appetite for the government will be very low if they find that Kassim's position has been on the extreme end, of the political spectrum. And whether we like it or not, some of our young people have been misguided to use the mediums we have now, to attack the government. And the records are there. Now, for example, in the Ugandan police, there is the forensic department, there is the department in charge of...
It looks like you're saying the government now can't do anything at the moment.
No.
Helping
I'm
these
not
80 people now, you said they have to be looked into, but as individual cases.
Yes, no, exactly. That's the reality of it. That it may not be that quick. It may take long, but the reasons for why does it take long? Quite often, it is processed under that regimen to say who went there under these circumstances, who was caught unawares, and who are they anyway. So you find that it takes a little bit of time. For an ordinary person, you may not know why is it taking long. Why can't they do it quickly? Because after all, it's a ticket. You just pay for tickets and people fly out. But sometimes it's not like that. It takes a little bit of time to understand who are you putting on the plane, and in whose interest are you working? You see, so all that may be
because just to bring in more people to the conversation. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much for your submission.
Surely.
Oh, thanks for your submission, Kennedy. Sorry for cutting through. Just
to
bring more people to the conversation. Yeah. Remember, the program is Come. Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and we are live on 75W Radio. We are live on Zoom and on YouTube, streaming live at this particular moment in time. And we are talking about the issue of the conundrum of exporting labor abroad, but with the specifics now that at this particular moment in time, you have more than 80 Ugandans that are stuck. But someone just said there are more than 100,000 Ugandans working in the United Arab Emirates. 80 Ugandans are stuck. It looks like he's actually trying to sort of undermine that situation. But these are 80 Ugandans, whatever the case, put up measures to ensure that its people are protected. And Muhammad Luzze said they have also to pay for the overstay charges. Domestic workers or maids and cleaners are stuck, and that is Chikomeko Ismail Semambo. Chikomeko, why don't you come in and probably share your particular experience tonight? Because I think it helps. This is one rare opportunity where you get the people that send people out there and the people that actually, go to work out there, have a conversation, a one-to-one conversation that is not necessarily confrontational. Ismail Chikomeko, are you able to speak where you're at? Sophia Mrangwa is saying the government needs to do more to protect its people. African governments don't care much about their people. You remember an incident where Ethiopia decided that they were going to stop Arabia. Definitely that led to a change of scenario. The government had to sign a new contract with them, and that actually made a huge difference to the lives of those people in that particular country, at least to an extent. And so did the Philippines, did the same thing, and Indonesia has also entered their own agreements. Uganda has been trying to go into some arrangement of sorts to make sure at least their people are protected, but it looks like increasingly there's less and less protection. Ismail Kikomeko, are you there? I'm trying to get you to unmute yourself, please. Are you able to speak where you are at? Because I gather you are in Dubai. Ismail? Ismail? Okay, we'll try to get somebody else. Nagawa Shamim, I think you might be in Saudi Arabia, if I'm right. Nagawa? Hello, Nagawa, assalamu alaikum. Hello, Nagawa, are you there?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Isa Makundi has raised his hand. Yes, let's go to Isa and here. Oh, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Shamim, how are you today?
I'm okay, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, thanks for staying up this late. Your take on the conversation tonight?
Seriously, other countries have been protected, but our country, the only thing they do is money. The reason as to why many people suffer from this side is we are sold like slaves. Those companies you see in Uganda, they are paid money before. In fact, a person coming to Saudi Arabia is supposed to pay nothing. Nothing, nothing. I repeat, totally nothing. Be it passport, be it examination fee, medical fee, interp and the like, they are paid a lot of money. In fact, they are paid 10,000 riyal for each person coming to Saudi Arabia.
So the payment is done by the person who is going to receive the client. Is that it?
The person who receives the employee pays for each and everything. But we also have to invest in ourselves, as they say. And we reach this side, these people treat us like slaves because they have already paid for you. One thing I suggest to my sisters out there working in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Oman, and the like, this side needs total patience, maximum patience. You find that you're working for someone, there's a lot of challenges because I've been here, this is my 7th year, alhamdulillah. I've seen it all, alhamdulillah. I've seen a lot. You need to be patient. You'll see many people will advise you that, you see, for us, we are working this side, we get a lot of money more than those people working inside the house. You're going to reach outside where they've told you escape from where you're working and you come this side. They have their own house, and that house they are paying money for rent. The driver who is going to come for you for where you are is going to ask for money. Like these people from Riyadh, they ask around 5,000 to 4,000 if you're not in Riyadh. For example, in Mecca or Taif, you're supposed to pay 5,000, depending on where you are. Now just imagine you're paying 5,000 to come out of from where you are. Where you're going to go, you're not so certain if you're going to get a job, if you're going to reach and start working. So in the end of the day, you're going to be stuck in that house. But if you are patient and you complete your 2 years, use your internet valuably. Like there are a lot of websites right now for Saudi Arabia that are hiring. We also have care jobs here in Saudi Arabia. We have also individual people who are hiring. Like if you say my contract is finished, and nowadays the law in Saudi Arabia, if you read about the laws governing the domestic workers in Saudi Arabia, I'm talking about Saudi Arabia because that's where I am. And that's where I know more. Yes. There are laws governing a maid in Saudi Arabia. You're not supposed to work for more than 16 hours. They are supposed to give you a leave every weekend, 1 day. You're not supposed to work. So you're supposed to know each and everything. Those coming from Uganda right now, try your best to see that they give you the rules and regulations, because it is written in both Arabic and English. Don't give the whole copy to your boss. Keep a copy, give the copy to your boss. For each and anything, tell her, you look at this. This is what I'm following. This is the laws that are governing us all. Now, once you complete your 2 years contract, if you feel like you've not got enough money, don't accept to renew. Just go to those websites. There are a lot of people there. Like there is some organization here, a medical organization. It has branches in Riyadh, it has branches in Makkah, Jeddah, and they take care of children like from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They give you the house, they give you your own room, and you work from Sunday to Thursday. You work from Sunday to Thursday, to Saturday, to Thursday, sorry. You work from Sunday to Friday. You have an off of Saturday, and they're giving around from 2,500, 2,000, depending on your experience and depending on your level of education. So there are those opportunities. If you don't know them, you'll suffer inside the house. They will tell you, you escape, come with us, and yet you can be patient, complete your 2 years contract, go to the website, look for another job. If you feel like you still want to stay in Saudi Arabia, go to the website and look for other job. Enter those jobs, you'll be free. Sign with them a contract so that, and those people, at least for them, they know English. You sign with them the contract and you tell them, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm not, you've told me I'm working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That is all. And this is my salary. Sign a pure contract with them and work for them. After your contract is done, you go out. This agent system of saying, they will tell you, now that you've completed your renewal, tell them I'm not renewing. I want to go. And tell them I want to go after securing yourself a what? After securing yourself a job.
The next job. Right.
Yeah.
But in it was saying that without the agency, you will be exploited. The chances of being exploited because you're not part of an agency are going to be high.
No way.
How do you get out of that?
You can get a job here with agencies. You get it? There are many agencies hiring from within. Not in there are companies and there are medical companies under care. There are agencies hiring here within. And those hiring here within, they give a lot of money to a person who has his own iqama. It is called iqama, the residential ID for Saudi Arabia. If you have it and you're in, they are offering a lot of money to those people within. And the transfer of iqama, there is a new law in Saudi Arabia. Once you finish a full year, if you feel like enough is enough, I can't hold on with my boss, you're free to transfer to another boss.
Thank you very much, Shamim. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm only stopping it so I can bring in more people.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
so much.
Shamim. I was just saying thank you very much to you, just simply because to allow in more people. I can see more hands coming up. Issa Makumbi's hand has been up for quite a while. Muhammad Luze is in Dubai, and I think his line was dropping in and out. And please, Issa Makumbi and Abu Musuz, I'll be coming to you. Let me just hear from and Brady Prosperous, who has been around since the start of the conversation tonight. I'll be coming to you to hear your own take on this situation. So let me just get Muhammad Luze. I was trying to get him, and the way the system is showing up now is playing up. I'm just trying to get the small icons. Bear with me 1 second. Muhammad Luze, if someone can just get to him, please just unmute him so that I can get him talking, and then we'll just open up the conversation much more to the hands. Muhammad Luze, are you up? Are you there? Muhammad Luze. Okay, let's go to Issa Makumbi, whose hand has been up much longer. Issa, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
How are you?
Fine. Just the freeze and the wind, which has been disturbing us over here.
Yeah, you are in Kampala.
I beg your pardon?
A bit of
Hello?
darkness.
Yeah, you escaped
All
the weather.
right.
I'm unionist actives here in UK. And most
Hello,
of
yes, I was saying, what's your take? What? Yes.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Go ahead, please.
And what I'm saying, they've been talking about the Middle East. Middle East are members of International Labour Organization, and the terms and the condition of the workers are well defined, whereby most of these have been coming in unions, organization meetings, and used to have delegation from the Middle East who used to attend the union meetings, and the category states that the rights of the workers exist in their countries. But the problem with the Ugandans, when they sign the contract, they don't read the contract. And when they go there, they don't follow the laws. They think that it's just a favor by leaving Uganda to go to Middle East and work. But those countries are members of International Labour Organization, whereby slavery has been abolished. And the workers, the rights of the workers are well defined in their contracts. And the numbers of the hours they're supposed to work is well defined. but they don't read the small print. As soon as I tell them they've got a job to go to Middle East, they become excited. They don't sign the contract, more at all. If you sign the contract in Uganda, it's binding because Uganda and Middle East countries are signatory to International Labour Organization. If you go there, if there's any deviation in your contract, challenge it at the beginning. But if you sign the second contract, it means that you've canceled the first contract, whereby you lose all your rights. And that's where the trick is. Because they put them under duress, say, don't forget about the contract you signed in Kampala. You are here, you have to sign a new contract. And if they sign a new contract, they lose all their rights. The only thing we need to say
I think, Engineer Makumbi, part of the problem comes from the fact that look at a person who has graduated from Makerere or any of the many universities in Uganda, IU, Christian University in Deji, and so on. You've spent 3 years looking for work and you're unable to find work. Here comes an opportunity that just gets you into work, and they've told you, going to read the small print really is sort of asking too much from a desperate person. Wouldn't you say so?
It's your rights. You've been in this place. Any job you do, you have to have the job description. You have to have the contract, and the terms are stated, and you have to go through the contract, read it, understand it. If you're not sure, ask questions. But for them, become very desperate, and then just sign anything, even without going through the contract. That's why they end up having trouble. A contract has got a beginning and the end. If you go there, usually it's 2-year term, but you have a right, if you're not just satisfied with the service, either party can withdraw from that contract. But the term is, when you say withdraw from that contract, they say that you will be stranded. But
from the contract. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think it's just only educating our people. They know their rights, that they are by international law that govern the worker everywhere. That's why we have to educate our people to know. It's not just a favor to leave Uganda to go and work Middle East.
Fantastic.
You say your labor, exchange, you get money.
And someone is telling you in the chat room, Brian did read his contract, but still he ended up getting exploited. When he tried to question, he lost the job. Thank you very much, Isa. I'm coming to Muhammad Iruze. Muhammad Iruze, salaam alaikum.
Naam wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm sure you have been listening into the conversation.
Exactly. So yes. My point is, because for sure we are hearing very many people saying that if you come with a company, a registered company from Uganda to the UAE, that maybe for you are safe. Actually, I stand firm to challenge that point. Because
and Muhammad, just to tell you, Inid Nambuya's hand is up. I think I'll come to her before going to Abu Musuza and Very Prosperous, because I think she might be responding exactly to the point that has been raised by Isa, and then you are raising now. Go ahead, please.
Yes, exactly. Let me try to summarize. I'm going to be So now I was saying that because if you get if there is any breach of the contract between the two parties, an employee and the employer, mostly the employer do breach this contract, the terms of the contract. So when you go to the labor law, to the labor court, you just stand there, you the employee, and maybe the representative from the company. In most cases, you find that maybe there is the PRO of the company. So when the proceedings goes on, and maybe each and everything is on the table, you might think that maybe I'm going to win, but they normally change because if they see the companies, in most cases, the companies here, they having a local guy, that means the citizen of here, and these are the other people from maybe those owners of the company. Mostly, they are not citizens of the UAE. So at first, you might be there in the court, maybe with let's say PRO, maybe from India or any other country. Things might be going on very well. when they reach at the top, where maybe at the final, when they are going to give the final decision, they bring in the local guy. They start speaking only Arabic purely, and they are like they are telling you that if you don't agree with what we are deciding, now you go ahead maybe to complain to other courts. They know that you don't have money to facilitate the process. There is no way how you are going to convince me that the other third party from Uganda, the company that brought you here, that is going to come in. Where is he going to stand in that situation? So that is
right.
Important.
Thank you very much, Muhammad Ruze. Brilliant presentation and actually straight on. Please, for everybody coming in because of time, make sure, please, you keep your comments or compliments or contributions as short as possible so that we can actually get the gist of it, but also be able to allow in more people into the conversation. Enid, I'm bringing you in. I was just about to let both Brayley Prosperous and Abu Musuza probably might have responded to some of the issues they are going to raise, but since you raised your hand, probably there's something burning, and let's hear from you in it.
Okay, thank
Hello,
you very much.
Enid.
Thank you.
Please,
thank you very much. I just actually
Sure.
wanted to react to something that the young lady said. I think she was Shamim.
Shamim Nagawa in Saudi Arabia, yes.
Yes. I think there was a mix-up of a couple of things that I wanted to make very clear. When she talks about the employer in Saudi saying that they have bought someone, and in Uganda you have also paid. Remember earlier we spoke about ignorance, we spoke about people not hearing, and I think one of your presenters also spoke about how do we speak to people so that they can actually understand. Number one, I mentioned at the beginning that for Jordan and Saudi Arabia, the migrant workers, especially females going into the house, are not expected to pay anything. However, we have this Ugandan belief that unless you pay for something, it cannot be true. A passport can go even for 500,000 when it's 150. We are not patient. She spoke about patience, fortunately, but I'd like to say that patience should start right at home. If a passport is 150K and you'll wait for a month, why do you pay 500 to get it in a day? There are certain elements that make you vulnerable to the elements. Someone spoke about a contract. Read your contract, understand it so that you're able to use it later. The gentleman before spoke about inability to speak Arabic and not being able to win in a court of law. It is true. You can fail to win in a court of law because of the evidence that is being availed. Even in Uganda, when everything is clear, black and white, you can still fail to win a law to win a case in the labor court. However, I saw Shamim say she's been there for 7 years, and if she's been there for 7 years, it means she went to Saudi at a time when there was no bilateral, because the bilateral was signed much later. But I like the fact that she's given us information, the information about the new law, where you can transfer your ICAMA for free after 1 year. Those are very good developments, because before you could not transfer. And I think in the Middle East, the first country that allowed transfer was Qatar. Qatar, you can actually transfer after 6 months. And now Saudi Arabia, you can also transfer after 1 year. I wanted to explain something called the employer pays principle. One of your participants talked about ILO. All the countries that are signatory to the ILO conventions are expected to use what is called the employer pays principle. This means the final employer has to pay for your facilitation to go and work for them. This is what happens for professional jobs anyway. You are interviewed, you are transported, you are moved with your family to go to another country to work. So all jobs are supposed to be treated like that. However, the agents, especially in UAE, take money and they make sure that there is money that has to be exchanged before you can even work. And for companies which are US-based, for example, if they interview you later on and find out that you actually paid to work, they will actually never work with that agency again. And sometimes they even cancel your contracts and you find yourself back at home. So the issue of thinking that because someone has paid for you, it makes you a slave, it is not so. I think it has to do with the way communication, the fact that we do not speak Arabic, and maybe they still have the kafala system deep down in their minds. For sure, you cannot buy a person for 10,000 riyal. It is too little. It is facilitating this person to come. The contract talks about a period of probation, and in that period, many people have not been able to work together, and yet there are others who've been able to work together and they have survived. It is getting very late here, and I was going to say,
yes, it is.
How long is this program going on? Because I wanted to stay with you up to the end. I had not asked you earlier. How long does this program go on?
We just have 26 minutes. It's until the top, top of the hour now. So we just have 26 minutes, which I'm sure you can hold in, especially with the issues that are being raised.
Yes, I'll stay on. And I can see Shamim is very active. I will have to look for her to talk to her further.
Oh, yes. She's very active. I mean, after 7 years in Saudi Arabia, she's an asset at the moment. Abu Musuza, I can see a hand from 75 Radio. So let's go to Abu Musuza, please. Abu Musuza, you've been waiting for long. Thank you very much, Enid. And we hope, I think there'll be issues that will bring you back in. Abu Musuza, you are unmuted. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Kassim. And I hope you can hear me clearly.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the clearest line so far after any.
Fantastic. Kassim, I have just a few things just to run through really quickly. So I'll try to be as brief as possible. First of all, I have to tell you that I've personally never been to any of these countries to work. I've traveled to them, but I do have relatives who have ended up there working. And there are some relatives who are stuck there, right? So this is a very personal issue to me. But I do notice a trend on this call that is applying but cannot apply in any other part of the law, which is blaming the victim, right? If it's a case of sexual assault, you cannot tell a victim of sexual assault that you should have known better, right? It has happened, right? So to come and say, tell a victim who is stuck out there that you should have read your contract better, right? I think it's such an unfair thing to say, right? I think when someone is in the situation, right, it is just completely different, right? Because what I have noticed, and I'm not really conversant with how these processes work, but what I have noticed is that when an agency here identifies a job for me there, as soon as I get on that plane and I start traveling, I am on my own, right? When I land in Saudi Arabia, right, essentially, I have to navigate that system, right? Are they going to trick me to sign? Are they going to give me a new contract? Are they going to, and remember, most of the people who travel there cannot read a contract, cannot negotiate. You cannot tell me when I am 10,000 miles away, I am standing in the street, I don't have where to sleep that night, to negotiate my contract. You see what I mean? Right? You are in a situation
that's exactly what I was saying about desperation. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
you're
the
bound.
very point.
And even if it's not just desperation, desperation took
out
me
of work
there.
for 3 years and then add those dynamics.
Yeah, yes. Desperation took me there, but in that situation, I'm essentially chained, right? Either I renegotiate my contract. For all you know, I cannot read a contract. There's so many dynamics. But I'll tell you that some of my relatives who are out there actually can read a contract. Actually went quite legally. We looked at things. But the trick is when you get there, right? Your ability to change from one point to another. I think there's a gap in there where even there, if you've chosen to change, right, you really don't have representation in a sense, right? You don't have anyone who will negotiate on your behalf, somewhere to run and say, look, let me consult. What does the process say here? What does the law say here? Where can I go to get redress? Throw in the factor of COVID that came in, right? When people are out there, my relatives were out there, they had jobs, they were working for really reputable organizations, but COVID struck, everything shut down, right? And then suddenly they find themselves without the ability to work, right? And they've been put on, on some sort of little amount of money, so that you can see, let's see if COVID rides out. The money that they're given is not enough to pay for things back home. Then at the end of the day, they decide, let me switch. Remember, when you switch, by my understanding, you lose the visa that you had with this employer, and getting another one, that is a big problem, because now you cannot find work. Now your visa is expired. Now the amount of money is starting to accumulate. You are alone. So my thinking is this, right? Taking people from one country to another, right, to work is a very critical or very important kind of role. And I think the onus has to be on me, who has opened a business and decided to engage in taking people to another country, right? I have to be responsible, right? And what should government do? One, I think government should just really tighten the laws and the requirements for you being able to run a labor agency. Because when you send people out there and you have them over to another agency out there and you just leave them out there, it should be impossible. You must have an office in that country to represent people in that country. If they get into trouble, you have to be able to help them negotiate, understand, interpret, all of those things while people are out there. Because when you get into that country, you're essentially on your own, right? And I find that totally absurd.
So, Abu, I'll just ask you that quick question then. What can we do about the 80 plus Ugandans at this particular moment in time? What do you think should be done about them?
I think at the end of it, that's also a no-brainer question, right? Don't blame the victim. They are in the situation. Figure out how do we get them out of there? Because the one thing I know about all of them, they want to come home. Why are we even debating the fact of 80 people are sleeping out on the streets, right? When every other country, it's not that we're the first, right? Many other countries have decided, you know what? If you want to get out, come up, go to the nearest consulate, get out. Why is this even a point of debate? These are citizens.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Abu. I'll go to Brayley Prosperous, who has waited for a long time. Brilliant presentation there, Abu. I'll go to Brayley and then 75 Derby, and we see how to wrap up. I'm sure many of you have sort of made up your minds about, and I think it will be very important for us to wrap up, seeing how to do. It has provided some kind of glimmer of hope in some way, but maybe we can hear from you as well what you think can and should be done.
Good evening.
Brayley, go ahead.
Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, all of you guys. I'm by names of Prosperous, and I would like to use Uganda specifically. I normally use Uganda if I want to go something deep, because I'm not as much in English. I don't much, so I would like to go deep in Uganda. Is it okay?
Yes.
Hope everyone can hear me.
In Dubai?
Yes, I'm in Dubai right now.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Is it okay? I can use our local language?
Please do. Yeah, please do. Of course, we'll lose some few people, but it's fine on this. Go ahead.
Okay, but the major people, they will get our point, because we are now seeking for help, right?
Yes.
Okay, kakati ensonga eriwo abantu gye babuusiza amaaso eriemu. Like, we have our fellow Ugandans and brothers. I personally am the person who always goes out of the streets in Embassy having a mere Brian Yachimanyi Burungi, and he knows me well. Every single Friday, I pass over there and I give them food. Nembalabako n'abalwadde ne tusobola obatwalako mu treatment n'obusente obutono bwe tuba tuyinawo. Not just because we are rich, but we just have that bond and brotherhood. Like, we have our brothers and sisters, and we hope them to come too, because toswa kutunulira muno nga ali mu mbeera etategerekeka nga you have something you can share. So with my brothers and sisters right now, okusinziira ku nsonga ze tugenze mu Yes Fine ziyamba abantu era ziyamba in future, but right now we are not solving the problem. Lwaki nkyogedde bwe ntyo? Abantu, like, okusinziira ku kiriwo ssaawa zino bw'otunuulira Baganda baffe abali ku street bebogerako nti no bali 80, they are more than 80, but let's focus on 80 because bebaze mu list. These guys, they really don't have anything to eat. They sleep on the street in the winter. They don't have even something to cover on their bodies, you get. Tebaina we banabira. Bali mumbeera gy'osobola otunulira naawe like notandika n'okawa obukaawe bw'obanga oli muntu ng'otegeera ng'oli omutima okitegeera. So Mr. Brian bw'otunulira ensonga ye etegerekeka bulungi, however much yagira ku visit visa naye ekintu kimutabuseeko ayambiddwa atya okusobola okudda ewaka okitegeera. Kubanga bw'abanga yagira ku visit visa naye n'atuuka wa n'asikinga help era n'afuna company nemu hiring nemu residency visa bamutaddemu abscond. Kiki ekiteekeddwa okutaking over because is a fellow Ugandan alina international passport eraga nti no muna Uganda. And kyemanyi embassy yaffe yasibwawo kuyamba buli muna Uganda. However much wagira ku visit visa oba oyitidde mateeka oba oyitidde ku as long as oli wano oli mu nsi yonna erina embassy ntino embassy yamwe eriweti. Kyembadde manyi nti tulina kuseekinga help from our embassy responding to our government. Tutekeddwa tutya okufuna obuyambi because si buli omuntu no abeera amanyi laws oba everyone has ever traveled nti nyina yitira mu teeka lino na lino nsobola ogenda mu nsi bweti okitegeera. So bwetunulira ensonga ya muganda wange Brian oba ne ba sisters abalala bonna ne ba brothers abali ku street bali mu mbeera ya njawulo naye kati sawa ze tosobola kusolovinga kizibu kye nosolovinga nekyo linga owiza information yawe but right now we are just seeking for help. Brian bwakugamba nti no he has tried his best agenze kwa awilo agenze kutadibilo agenze kuleba agenze muki asobole okulaba help afuna atya exit paper clearance paper emujja mu UA asobole okudda Uganda because is totally block naye nga te asobola okudda ewaka n'atandika something because byonna byonna yali abisuubira nti omuntu bw'ajjebwe asobola okufuna okubeera so better than ng'ovudde ewaka kyatuuse wano n'alaba nga yes fine waliyo abakisobola era n'oyitamu because kimanyi omukisa being rich is just a blessing. Newako osobola okikubirayo na wano osobola okikubirayo. Not everyone in UA is block as he is.
Thank you very much, Brandon.
Yes. Kati ayambiddwa atya oba n'abalala bayambiddwa batya. Wenjogerera kati of recently waliwo ne mwanyina azenze mwenyini if Mr. Brand shared you the videos I was the person who older that sister ngali on the mat kumukeeka nga tasobola kuyimirira for a week talina kyalya naye nga niwoba omuwadde ekyokulira talina treatment nga niwoba omuwadde treatment yeetaagisa okufuna ebyokulya naye nga te that sister she has ever tried to go at the embassy seeking for help. How can she get out before even she was absconded? Nenga tafuna response. Kati Brian kiyetagwa okutegeera omuntu ng'ali waneeno like ng'ali stranded as in mumbeera mwali oba abalala mwe bali bw'agenda ku embassy ki kyateekeddwa okwogerayo era okufuna obuyambi.
Well, but you're very much brilliant. Point you're making very well.
Just these people Indians are taking over these UAE companies because wasinga nyokwa over gunge amadala gasinga kabadugavu. Those people tebagalira ddala badugavu. Even right now, when you go for interviews, Asians, they separate you. Asians come on this side, Black Africans, Muletesi visa. When they're interviewing only Asians, they no longer need the Black people here. So whenever they get in the company, the same position, so they have to pretty hard. In that never pose any slight mistake like this. At least you are very deported or very blocked hired by any other company.
All right, thank you very much, Brady. I'll just stop you there, Kubanga. I can't deliver together 75 W radio. I'll give in the last word, sort of 1 2, especially when you play a Brady. But then it's very powerful. If you really didn't feel anything, then maybe now I'm sure having listened to this, definitely you get an idea. 75 W radio, please keep it short. Going now as in Daro, then again they were in it, and we'll try to see how to wrap up.
Sheikh Kayira, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I think
ahead, Becca.
the first question I'm going to pose to the lady that you invited is, can't these companies be shut down? Because even if we help these 80 people, next year we're going to have 100 more people that are going to need this help. You know, because these companies have taken people there. Literally every time I go back to Uganda, there's a line of girls heading out. You know, literally there's a queue of hundreds of girls queuing up every day. Apparently, they take people abroad basically to be slaves. That's slavery, you know. But, to me, the first question is, can these companies be shut down? Because so far they've failed. They've failed. These girls and boys they've taken over to the Middle East, you know, and it's very sad.
That's a bit unfair. If we speak about 200,000 Ugandans working in the UAE, and we are talking about a case of about 100 who are in these particular situations, that would not be
Kayira, one life is too many. One life being lost in Saudi Arabia or Dubai is too many. You know, every day these companies
they should be shut. Yeah, Becca, when you say they should be shut, that means the 200,000 won't even have the jobs. Not everyone really is in a bad situation.
Yeah, but they need to vet the companies or the areas where they take these young people to, because most of them are young. You know, you can imagine someone that's not even been to university or someone that's at university. They are actually quite young, and most of these girls are vulnerable. Even when I went to Uganda, I spoke to so many people that are aspiring to literally go to these companies, and they're saying everyone will use their own chance. And I think it's a thing whereby we need to shift the mindset. All of these people that are heading out, they are skilled. Like if Sheikh Kayira was to ask you, why should 5 tailors go to Saudi Arabia to be maids? Why, if you see the money they use, the money these people use or they pay to go to these companies, they could, if they use that money, they can start up their own tailoring company so that they can start. You know, it's just the thing is, this thing can stop, but it's just shifting the mindset of our people. It's just that they think there's nothing they can do. But then if you look at the money they put, it's not easy money, you know, it's a lot of money. But these companies are just like, because there's a girl I was trying to help in Uganda. She literally put her passport to this company. I don't know the company's name, but she told me to go there with her to help her remove basically to get her passport back. She wanted a way out. They told her they could not give her passport. You know, so they told her there's no way out. She's already signed up for this. You know, she's already there. So literally she couldn't get her passport back. But then she's thinking, if I want to go somewhere else, now I don't have a passport. Now I need more money to pay for the passport. You know, so these companies.
Did you manage to help her?
I didn't manage to help her because she was like, if she stays, she's not going to get more money. She's not going to get enough money to literally get another passport. So she has to stay there and hope that she gets her passport at one point, maybe going to the airport, and then she runs. But then she was unable to get the passport. And then when she got there, she was like, you know what? She got there, she got excited, and she ended up going. So far, the things are okay. They're going all right. But for how long? You know, until when someone gets let down or maybe let go, a year after, 6 months after, then she ends up on the streets. You know, so this is a thing whereby these companies need to be shut down until they can prove that they are able, or they vetted these companies outside. And also, my advice to the young people out there in Uganda, like, it's just a mindset thing. You know, there's a lot of things that they can do in Uganda. Yes, sometimes it looks like you're facing a brick wall, but literally it's a mindset thing that we need to work on, because losing one life is one too many. Losing one life is one too many.
Becca, thank you very much. I'll just go back to it because you've raised some very powerful statements there. Huh?
My question to the lady is that can't.
I'm saying I'll take it back to Enid. I'll take it back to Enid. Okay. Becca, you are being disingenuous. That is from Musa Rugemwa. I comment to you, but I'm sure now that will be coming in. But the mindset issue, definitely. Hajat Sarah, you have the mic before I bring in it. But the mindset issue is really very, very important. But it's what Kennedy Urashe did bring up the issue. He said a person will be earning 10,000 in Uganda, and they'll tell them they can earn 20,000 in Kenya. And that double feeling immediately just shifts them to try to cross over the border without thinking of what other implications. It might be you're earning 20,000, you have to pay tax, you have to pay transport to get back. By the time you get back, actually, the other 10,000, you have 2,000 over the 10,000 that you're earning, plus the inconvenience, the inconvenience that has gone into that. So sometimes it's about the mindset. But for many people, for you in and showering money and taking people out here, and you tell somebody to stay home and plan, that might not be an easy sell. Hajat Sarah, go ahead, please, so that we bring it in to conclude our conversation tonight.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
For me, I have a question. Why is it that they take their travel documents away from them? Why do they not keep their own passports if it's not exploitation?
We'll hear from Enid on that, I think. That's an easy one. Makes it very, very easy to get Enid to answer. Enid, if you can come in, please, now, so that we can wrap up. You'll have the last word, the final word. Responding to the questions, closure of companies until you're able to deliver. There was the issue again of, why take passports? Why can't people have or keep possession of their passports while they are in the countries where they've gone to work? They need that independence. They need that flexibility. Why take away the passports?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kayira. First of all, I like it when people speak with a lot of passion.
Enid.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Mike.
Hello.
She says, according to the new law.
Yes, we can hear you, ma'am.
Yes, I'm saying
yes, Enid, we can hear you loud and clear.
We
can hear you loud and clear, Enid.
Yes, I like it when people can speak with so much passion, but I also like it when they keep to the chase. We were speaking about the 80 persons in Dubai. So when someone wakes up and says, shut down the company that bring people, it is irrelevant to the 80 persons who are in Dubai right now. And I asked Brian the first question, were you taken by a company? Brian said no. Now, if those 80 were not taken by companies, why do you want companies to be shut down? It is irrelevant to the situation. Shamim was talking about Saudi Arabia, and I would like to have a further conversation with her because I think she made a very good presentation on the issue in Saudi Arabia, which I think the previous speaker probably didn't hear, otherwise you would have understood the situation in Saudi Arabia. Hajat Sarah is asking about travel documents. The issue of travel documents, I think, is happening all over the Middle East because of the initial kafala system where someone's visa was tied to the job or tied to the person or tied to the employer. But you are supposed to have your documents. All the documents that you sign, the contract, International Labour Organization, you are supposed to have your documents on you. However, they take advantage because if you need an ikama, you have to give in your passport in order for you to get an ikama. You have to give in your passport to get the insurance. There are so many things that you need your passport to be used for, whether you want a bank account, name it. In that process, they claim that they're keeping the passport safe for you because after all, you have the documents that allow you to stay in that country legally. So it is unfortunate that it is a practice, but it is illegal. Number two, I do not think companies should be shut down because of what's happening in the countries of destination. Talk about the countries of destination, what should be done there, okay? Then the issue of the 80, like I said earlier, they need to be processed at an individual level. We cannot put them all in one basket. Brian went there on his own. Someone is asking about the girls who are doing prostitution in Dubai. They also went as individuals. They need to be processed as individuals, one by one. And that's what the embassy will do. It will not process you as a basket or person. It will want to know each person's individual story. And so that they can get you the travel documents. Then there's the issue of getting clemency for you, because if you are on overstay, it means there's a fine to be paid. Yeah. The embassy will get you clemency. That's why I'm saying they need to process you as an individual. It's the clemency for you to be able to leave. It's the ability for you to move on papers other than a passport. And there's also the ticket, okay? And the upkeep as you wait for all that to go through. So personally, I would like to thank Brian for sharing his story with us. I would like to thank Shamim also for sharing a story with us. We need to hear from the people on the ground what is happening so that we can also find solutions within the law. If you're speaking about what's happening in Uganda, that's a different conversation. And when you're speaking about what's happening in a destination country, that's also another conversation. So I would like to thank you and request that probably next time we should stick to one issue, handle it, and then go to that. Because if you speak about migration, it is a very big topic. And like one of the speakers said, you cannot refuse people from traveling, okay? You can actually travel and end up staying because it is lucrative. For example, a visa to Canada is as long as the period you have remaining on your passport. So if you have a passport that is 10 years to expire, you'll get a visa to Canada of 10 years. So you can get there and find a job. But if they find you, it will be illegal because the visa that you have is actually not for working. But if you're caught on the wrong side of the law, you'll be punished. So when someone was saying we are blaming the people who are victims, we are not blaming the victims. We are using this opportunity to learn from their situations how we can advise the next cohort of persons who want to travel. So Mr. Kayira, I thank you for this opportunity. I can see you yawning. I guess you're past your time. I hope that is not corona.
Not yawning. I'm trying to avoid drinking any water. It's very late in Kampala.
Yes, I would like to thank
this now, and I know the kind of punishment.
Yes, but we thank all the participants because when you hear the criticisms and the positive stories, then you know how to improve. But maybe for everyone to know, I am not a Government of Uganda employee, but I will do my level best to inquire to find out what can be done.
Before you go.
Yes, please.
Right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Enid. Just before you go, there was just one burning question. And this was raised regarding people who have gone through the companies, they've signed contracts, they've gone and ended up in these countries and are beginning to work, and then there is reneging on the contract. For example, getting paid than what was agreed upon. What can you and what are you doing as companies to be able to intervene in such a situation?
Okay, so what you're talking about is what we call a contract that has been substituted. That is something we have noted and we have raised it with the government. We've also raised it with the embassies about the issue of contract substitution. But we are also working with IOM because they have an office in Bahrain to see how we can start that conversation because it has to happen government to government and we must have proof of it. But we've heard about contract substitution. It is something that cannot end in just a day, but we are raising it. We've raised it with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we are also speaking to ILO and IOM in their offices in Bahrain to see how this issue can also be tackled. It cannot end in a day, but for sure we shall ensure that it is stamped out.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much to everyone who has participated tonight. Braley, I had already said it is good night, but then your hand seems to be up. It looks like there's something burning. If you keep it within a minute, then I can be able to say goodbye to or good night to people who have stayed long into the night, especially down here in East Africa and in Dubai where you are at. What is that is burning? Keep it to less than a minute.
Okay, before Mrs. Enid goes out. Hello. Can you hear me? Before we close the session, thanks for hosting us, Mr. Kassim. But I would like to ask Mrs. Enid, before she goes out of the meeting, like, singa Mr. Brian's issue is solved, then what will be the next step for the next people? Because it might be difficult to reach you guys, but what I was requesting, I personally, I can commit my time because I'm self-employed here, legally, you know, everything. I can commit my time and I can commit everything to follow up with all those guys so that they can exit from here because it's what they are seeking right now. So let Mr. Brian be the example, or we follow up according to the procedures Mrs. Enid will give us.
Is it okay?
Okay, maybe
All right. Well,
I'll
Edith has committed. This is in the video. Edith, you want to come in there? Please go ahead.
Yes, okay. So we shall have you as our liaison, Mr. Kayira, because now you have all our numbers. You could create a WhatsApp group for the three of us, you and the previous speaker, and we see what we can do. Because he says he's a free spirit, he has freedom to move around, and with yourself and myself, we can continue this conversation and see what to do. That's what I'm suggesting. You create a WhatsApp group for the three of us, and we continue the conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. And I think this is definitely the benefit of having such conversation. Suddenly what looked like where we are at in our conversation. Thank you very much. It has been a difficult conversation, but I think we are beginning to. It's a problem that has been building up. It is solved, but we have to start somewhere, and I think it might be the beginning of an interesting end to what has been a difficult situation. Thank you very much. This has been Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We were live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Zoom. And we were actually talking about the difficulty of the labor in the Middle East, but specifically about the 80+ Ugandans who are stuck, wanting to come back home, but having no way of how to do so. Thank you very much and have a very good night. See you next week on Tuesday, same time, same place. Love you. Good night. Bye.